that we are. We've been talking this entire month about what it takes for us to rekindle that spark in our own souls, to bring forth the qualities that we've talked about this entire month of December, that we have lit the Advent candles every single Sunday, reminding us of those qualities, the qualities of love and hope and joy and peace. And so today we're talking about what it looks like for us to cultivate the capacity to actually be able to bring forth those qualities of the divine in our everyday walk in the world. And that's a very big calling. And for one thing, I know that we all see the world through the light of our own awareness. And so when we're able to bring more light into our awareness through this increased capacity to have a shift in perspective, to remember the truth of the I amness that we are, and the I amness that everyone else is too, it's a lot easier for us to carry that halo, to wear that light, to be that radiant essence of the world. Because if we're seeing through the lens of darkness, if we're seeing through a filter that's kind of fuzzy and not very bright, things look way different than they do when we're clear and there's a lot of light moving through our awareness. And so this capacity to expand our awareness, to bring in more light, is really, really important. And that's pretty much what we've been working on this entire month, and is what we work on every Sunday here at Common Ground. So today's talk is about each of our unique journeys. See, we are all a piece of the I amness that God is, the allness of God, the face of perfection that God is. But we each have a great gift and opportunity to be an expression of that energy, that spark of the divine, in a unique way. I am called to be an expression in a different way than Bob is, or Linda is, or Mike is. We're all called to express our unique divine spark in a certain way. For one thing, I'm really glad that we have an opportunity to bring forth our divine sparks, because those of you who were very involved and caught up in the whole notion of the demise of civilization on December the 21st, 2012, when the Mayan calendar supposedly ended, I'm sure you're all breathing a sigh of relief that we're here to continue to express. Yes, absolutely. And so this idea, we have all these stories that sort of filter in and trickle into our collective awareness. And one of the great stories that trickles in is this idea of the coming of the second coming, the coming of the Messiah, right? Is certainly part of the great tradition of the Christian faith. It also is a tradition of the Buddhist faith, this idea of the second coming. Well, this is what I choose to believe. And by the way, you can choose to believe whatever you want. That's one of the great gifts of Common Ground. But this is what I believe. I believe what Thich Nhat Hanh and so many other Buddhist teachers say, and that is that the second coming, this great Messiah that is going to come forth in this new world, this new earth that Eckhart Tolle talks about, is not going to be one person. It is going to be a community of enlightened beings. It is going to be all of us, folks. We're that. We are the energy of the second coming. We are that. We are our own messiahs. And so the capacity to bring forth this divine spark is hugely important. It's very important. That's what's going to change the world. That's what makes the big shift, is our own personal shift in consciousness. That's what it's all about. So when I started looking at this idea of the divine spark, naturally my first inclination was to go to what? The internet, to see what the internet had to say about the divine spark. And of course it says a lot of things about the divine spark. But I thought it was very interesting that all of the mystical type religious traditions have an idea of a divine spark. Gnosticism, Peter, Gnosticism is very, very involved with this idea of being the spark of God, this divine spark. Mystical Christianity, now not so much fundamental Christianity, not so much. Quote, I looked at a mainstream Christian comment about this notion of the divine spark, that we are part of the allness of God, that we have that spark within. And this was the quote: "Whatever divine spark there ever was in humanity was snuffed out by sin." So some of us may have come up with a tradition that has left a lingering question around that, and we're here to give a new message, a different message in this community, that we are that divine energy of God. And if we make mistakes and we're unskillful and stuff happens along the way, okay, we just do it again, but we're not ever snuffed out by the missteps that we make by our unskillful behavior. But I thought it was very interesting that the Kabbalah, this is a main teaching in the Kabbalah, this idea that our divine spark that we have within us, this God essence, this is what makes us unique. This is what gives us our unique divine purpose in the world. We all get a unique divine purpose. We all get to radiate in a unique way. If it were not so, everything would be the same. And if you look around, I don't see a lot of sameness. We have a common energy, which is this divine energy, but it gets to express in so many different ways because of our humanity. Our humanity, it's a key point. So that's why I picked this image behind me, this image of the diamond, because this idea of the divine spark, we are like those facets in the diamond. Depending on how the light is reflected and how the light hits the facet, it reflects different colors, it reflects in different intensities, it reflects in different ways, and that's our opportunity, that's our potential, that's our possibility. We get to shine in our own unique way, and I think that's just awesome. I think that's awesome. That's why we choose the internet with all of its jewels as a symbol for this community. We get to shine our own light, and then guess what? Together we get to shine a special kind of light because we're reflecting off of each other. All of our facets come together and create this burst of luminosity. So this idea, I love what Llewellyn Bunley says about this. We've been working with his material, very big in the Sufi tradition, this idea of the divine spark. He says, the simple wonder of being human means that we are also divine. This is a Sufi teaching. The simple wonder of being a human being means that we carry within us this essence of the divine. And this idea that we are the meeting place of the two worlds. We are where our humanity, each one of us in these people suits gets to be the place where our humanity and our divinity meets and expresses in our own unique way. And Llewellyn Bunley tells us, we are the place, and I love this. If you're taking notes, write this down. We are the place where miracles can happen and the divine comes alive in new ways. Each and every one of us is that place of miracles where the miracle happens and the divine is expressed in a completely unique way. In every moment, in every now moment, never again the same way twice. Awesome. Anybody familiar with the Whole Earth Catalog? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Whole Earth Catalog? The gentleman that is the editor and is an American writer, the editor of that catalog is still living, and I love what he said, and I thought, you know what, I like this. They should make a plaque. We are gods, so we might as well get good at it. Don't you love it? Did you ever hear that before? I never did. Excuse me, Pat, I have to do the pants dance. There we go. My hands are funny. I love that saying. We are God, so we might as well get busy. Get busy and be good at it. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Because so often we forget that, you know, Teresa of Avila, Christ in her terminology, this energy of the divine, this energy of God, doesn't have a body on earth. We're it. We are that meeting place of the divine, and we are the hands and the feet of the divine. We are that expression. We got work to do. We got a lot of work to do. And so our life purpose right now here on earth, love what these master teachers say. My son gets a lot of material from a Buddhist magazine source, and he was reading this to me, and I jotted it down. Our life purpose is not about qualifying for heaven, but it's about living heaven on earth right now in the way we show up. We don't do good deeds so we get someplace else. We are not qualifying for anything.
what we're doing is we are contributing to the energy of now, this moment, right here, and this is where heaven on earth is. This is it, folks. We are, Llewellyn Bunting tells us, we are the light at the end of the tunnel. We're it. Each and every one of us, our consciousness is that light. We are the warmth, the care, the compassion of the world. Where else does it come from? We're it. And we get to bring that forth. It's our work in the world. We got to get good at it. We got to be able to bring that forward. We have to take responsibility for that walk in the world, for ourselves, so that we can bring it out into the world. We've got to do our own transformative practices so we can get clear enough to remember who we are and step out there and take that with us so that when we go out into the world, we are a reminder to everyone that we encounter that the divine is present. I am God presence. I am that energy of the divine present. We're called to do the very best that we can. That's all we're called to do. If we could do it different, we would. And sometimes, certainly the case in my life, sometimes we don't make, skillful choices. Sometimes we misstep. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we get angry, we get fearful, we get judgmental, we get all these qualities that don't show up with as much light. But we get to forgive ourselves, forgive others, and do it again. Do the best we can so that we get better at it as we go. Yes, we are very allowing in that. And when we can allow that for ourselves, guess what? We can allow that for everybody else. We allow everybody else to make those same missteps and continue to see the divinity and the radiance within them. And so we're called to do what we can do. Do what we're called to do. And the doing is not just about the doingness. It's about a do-be. It's about doing with the sense of the being as the thread that moves us forward. It is doing with the energy of the divine. It is doing, not from that, I think you called it the fragile ego place in the lyrics of Terry's song, not from that fragile ego place that's bringing in all the agendas and the worries and the fears and the wounds and the stuff of life. But we're doing from a place of being that is clear and has the light and has the energy of knowing who we really are, that reflects that hope, that love, that compassion, that joy, that peace, that deep peace of mind. I was so glad this year at our Christmas Eve service when I received my blessing. The year before, when I received my Christmas blessing to live for the year of 2012, I was kind of panicked. I think ours were the same. Yeah, they were the same, weren't they? It's something about, don't be worried about the darkness. Just light a candle to pave your way. And I thought, oh great, this year's going to be something else. But it was a little bit. It had some elements of that. But this year, I thought it was interesting because I was working on this idea of offering the divine spark back to life. And this year, my blessing was be, capital B, capital E, be peace in the world. And I went, I can do that. Oh, good. I get to remember every morning when I get dressed and see that blessing on my mirror, I get to remember that's my job to get good at that day. You get to get good at being peace today, Judy. That's my blessing for this year. Thank you, God. I love that. So we're at a critical time in human history. I got to tell you, things look kind of shaky. No matter where you look, stuff's happening. We've seen a lot of history this year that doesn't look very pretty. We've got some pretty sorrowful things having happened as a culture, in our personal lives, in our personal finances, maybe even in our own bodies. We've had stuff going on, certainly in the world, in our environment. It's not such a peaceful place sometimes. And so we are at a very critical period of our history, and sometimes we can, drop into that place of despair, drop into that place of feeling powerful, fragile, vulnerable, overwhelmed, and discouraged. But when we can remember the truth and just start where we are, like Pema Children says, start where you are. That's all you have to do. Start where you are and do the best you can do wherever you are in that moment. Then you get to, like Linda said, and Adea Judith says, you get to remember that your job as a human being expressing the divinity that you are, your job is to live the values of the heart in all the choices that you make. So you get to choose love instead of fear. You get to choose forgiveness instead of condemnation. You get to choose contribution rather than acquiring. You get to choose in your walk in the world in these very complicated times how you show up. It's one of the great things about human beings. We have the power of choice. Other species and other creatures do not. We get to choose. We're self-reflective. We get to decide how it's going to show up. And so that allows us, we don't have to focus on all the issues that are out there. We get to focus on solutions. And the solutions are always strongest and best when they're coming from a place of love. They are always strongest and best when they're coming from a place of peace and hopefulness and joy. And so we get to choose how we embrace the stuff of life. Do we get to, talk about ain't it awful and focus on all the issues that are going on in life, and there are a lot, collectively and personally, or do we get to say, my solution is love, hope, peace, calm, quiet, remembering the truth of who I am and who you are. We get to choose. We get to take the high road. I love anybody familiar with a little book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff? One of my very favorite little readings in there is a chapter called When in Doubt, Take the Trash Out. We get to choose. We don't have to sit around and think all day. If there's a big pile of trash, we get to decide. We don't have to say it's not my job. We get to say, you know what, there's trash there. When in doubt, I'm taking it out. If we take that attitude with all of life, and no matter what it is, you know what? When in doubt, forgive. When in doubt, love. When in doubt, accept. When in doubt, trust. If we take that perspective with all of these issues that show up in life, things are much different for us. It starts with healing ourselves. It starts with this personal transformation. It starts with cultivating this peaceful place within, this spiritual growth that we talk about so much here, going to the center of the spiral, filling up with the awareness of the divine and then bringing it out. Ox herding pictures. Once the Buddha guy finds the ox, he doesn't stay on the mountaintop. He comes back into the marketplace with bare feet, empty hands, offering what he can to the world. We fill back up, we know who we are, and we come out to do what we can do to get good at being the divine presence in the world. It's easy to be a divine presence when we're in the cave or sitting on a cushion. It's not so easy when we're coming out into the world and bumping elbows with things that don't feel good. So part of our work is to, I love this, start with ourself and this quote, work on our own other. Work on our own other before we try to work with the others, right? So we have to look at our own stuff, our own shadow stuff, those places where we're afraid, those places where we don't trust, those places where we judge. We look at that first, and then we bring our energy of light to our experience. So we're never done. It's always about practicing, getting good at it, about cultivating the ideas that we, come up with, and it's about moving into action and moving out of thinking about it, out of knowing about it, and actually living it in our walk in the world and expressing the divine in our own unique way, just like the diamond does, because that diamond sparkles with great brilliance when the light shines on it. So ask yourself this question: what is your way of being in the world? How are you showing up? How are you allowing your unique sparkle to come forth, this divine spark, this energy of the divine. What does that look like? How's it being reflected? Where can you maybe make some shifts? You know, everybody's talking about the great shift. How can you make some shifts? How are you being called to live from those values of the heart in every choice that you make? What's that look like for you? This shift, I love what Glenda said, Anna Day and Judith have the same thing in my talk. This incredible shift from hatred and anger to love. This shift from it's all about stuff to it's all about our relationships with each other. This shift from it's all about me to it's all about all of us. It's all about all of us. This shift from I want to be the winner, I want to compete with you, to I want us all to be the winner. I want us all to cooperate together and to succeed together, not just one, but all of us like this, like the Messiah in the second coming. I want us to be co-creative. I want us to contribute, not take from each other. This is essential. And so I return to the words of the American writer Stuart Brand. We're all God's, so we might as well get good at it.